Alright, welcome. Patch 7.12 patch notes. We're done with that story. We're on to real life patch notes. So, I actually don't know what they're looking to nerf in this patch notes, except for I heard both the Doran's items getting nerfed, which is A plus for me. Usually at the very beginning, they tell you what are these patch notes doing. So, looking to create better item diversity between tankier supports and their enchanter compatriots. First patch we played on 10-man system. We're excited to keep watching how the patch goes up. Okay, cool. We'll keep going. Camille, right now, she's not a great champion, but really scary to buff because she's just a champ that has a lot of stuff in his kit, or her kit. Large amount of steroids, offensive and defensive. Really dangerous champion to buff. So what do? They decrease the cooldown of her passive, and they made it so her delayed precision cooldown does 20% more damage. Okay, some pretty good buffs to Camille. I don't think this will make her see much play without nerfs to other really strong meta top laners, especially the damage-oriented ones like Fiora and Rumble. But we'll just keep going. Corki. AD slightly up, base AD slightly up. Autos do more magic damage rather than physical. Last time we saw the Corki survive through the rift, we were doing so as a mid laner. Seen amounts of damage, wave clear. We made changes to the curve. We felt like he feeling like a whiskey duck. Okay. Designed to reinforce the more playable pick in bot lane while pushing his magic damage niche. Okay. Base AD increasing it really big because all your items scale off of base AD. So champions with really bad base attack speed, champions like Diana, for instance, can't buy attack speed items and get as much value as champions with good attack speed. It's kind of why rather than giving her, Diana's passive gives her 20% extra attack speed because they lowered her base attack speed so to the point where she doesn't scale that well from attack speed items. So usually you'll never buy more than Nashers, for instance, on her. But enough about that. Currently, Corki at the moment stopped seeing play when his ulti got nerfed because real talk, his ulti does less damage as auto attack at level 6, and it was just really depressing to play because he took too long to scale to becoming like a beast. So where does that leave him now? Cool, he gets better scaling from attack speed items, slightly higher AD, 20% physical, 80% magic. That's such a big swing. I'm surprised they went so ham-fisted with the magic damage. Usually it's okay, I want to make him deal more magic damage. All right, we'll push it to 60%, 65%, 70%. But that's a really big change. And generally, this is definitely more appealing for Corki as a character because, especially in the AD role, if you want to round out AP damage sources, then you want one champion doing a lot of magic damage. So a mid lane Orianna, for instance, or Syndra can round out a comp. But mid lane Corki, if you're running all AD, does a lot of magic damage, but sometimes not as much as you'd want. So definitely I could see the situation where it's okay, well, I could see where he is indeed more appealing in the AD position as a more pure magic damage champion. Frost Bomb and Missile Barrage cannot be buffered during Valkyrie's trap. That's kind of a nice buff. I still think he's gonna struggle a lot to be played mid. I don't think he'll see any playtime mid lane. Bot lane, I still don't think he's gonna see that much playtime. But maybe this changed a lot bigger than I thought. I don't know how much this increases his general damage early game. I imagine it's a decent amount, and his scaling it probably is pretty good too. I have not seen a real magic damage scaling threat with crit. How it works, because even the old Corki did half and half, so I expect at least people to try him. I would like Corki to see play because he's just a very unique champion that fits, rounds out a lot of team comps. Any kind of magic damage diversity in roles that don't have much magic damage, for instance, the AD role, sometimes the jungle role if Elise is really weak. And sometimes the top lane role of Rumble is really weak. I would say is better for the game. You're able to create more unique team comps with this in mind. I don't think he's going to be too good, but I don't know how big of a change this is. I suspect that it's a buff, but I don't know if it's good enough to make him see play. At the moment, with how strong D-Shield is, you can kind of put anything in the bot lane AD position. But having his competition be Caitlyn, I just don't see him coming out ahead in that competition at all. Ivern. So this character pretty strong. They didn't really nerf his E the last time, and they went through a lot of nerfs, like mainly on his passive health sustain. But now they're just nerfing his E damage. Oh wow, 50 base off E, so it's almost entirely a utility character. That's a pretty significant nerf. I like it too. I think Ivern's still really annoying champion. There's definitely good counter picks into him like Graves and Nunu, but still a champion where I would like to see like. If you want to play Ivern, he should be more situational than a champion where like you pick if he's up and you need or want shields. I think actually he kind of fell a little bit out of the meta after the last nerfs, and maybe these nerfs are a little bit too much. But usually I don't mind if Ivern's more out of the meta than in the meta, because it means that like the situations you want to pick Ivern are more niche, and I just don't typically like having utility support junglers that can abuse support items. Being like very top tier priority. Next up, Jax. W9 like grants bonus range, 50 range. That's okay. It's cool. It's nice to be able to end trades with W as they're running away. A slight buff won't change his like actual play much, but it's just nice, especially in melee matchups. Jhin. So this champ is probably one of the lowest win rate ADs right now. I think alongside Ezreal sees not much play. So what do? They lowered the base damage and they increased the total AD ratio by 0.1. Okay. Definitely a buff because the AD only got hit by 5. So like I think as soon as you hit like one full item, it just becomes a better scaling ability. Additionally, Curtain Call base damage got increased by a little bit, so he could use with a little bit of buffs. I still remember the situation where Jhin was picked every single game, so I do kind of want to edge, or would like to see Jhin edged back into play rather than just get hitting with like a large buff and then he just sees play everywhere. This is a good step in the right direction though. Karma, really obnoxious support. Really hope she gets nerfed. She's getting nerfed. So they're nerfing her shield by E. I keep reading this Grail change on both this and Ivern. I have to see what this is. But her shield, actual shield got lowered by 20 base. Really good. And her shield on secondary targets Mantra E is only 30% of the value. That's so good. Thank God. Beginning mid-late game with just Mantra E in your team to initiate just felt like you weren't doing much damage. And it wasn't like you were being... You had to be picky with your target. You just kind of did it on anyone. Even the 50% shield was fairly strong. Also, her being like probably the best support in lane is pretty obnoxious. So any nerfs to Karma is good in my book. Kindred. So they increased their base AD and E mana cost. To be fair, I've not played the new Kindred at all. I've seen one new Kindred. He went 2 and 10. And so I don't know anything about the new changes except for I had one game which, like, it wasn't even that I did too well. It was like the Kindred did pretty bad and my team ended up winning. So what do? The Wolf dash speed got increased. Zone duration now waits to be counting until Wolf reaches the cast location. That just seems like it's all buffs all around for W. And E got mana cost buffs and base AD. So Kindred was 2 week early. They buffed her. I don't have much to say about it because I haven't tried her. Like, this is one of the rare times where haven't seen her, haven't played her. She got buffs because Riot thought she was weak. No comment. Malzahar. So I saw Malzahar one game in NALCS. Fell like 30 CS, 35, like 30 CS behind the lane. That's pretty much it. I think that as he is a champion that tends to abuse lower elos better, but if you're able to hump his tower and make it so that he can't W wave clear the entire wave, he tends to get pressured really, really hard by any of the meta mid laners. And so I don't think he's that good, but Riot just like nerfed him because the ease at which you can play him is much easier than the opponent can counterplay. I don't think that's necessarily too bad, but I'm assuming that like lower elos, it's like, oh well, if you spam shove into Malzahar, he can spam clear really easily. And they nerfed the base damage on his beam as well as lowered the beam duration a little bit. Beam damage will continue to tick as long as Malzahar's stick in range. Wait, so it just... Okay, so the damage still stays. It just loses a bit of damage here and here. So QSS doesn't completely negate him. This might even be a buff. Honestly, I thought it was this already. But... Yeah, they're just looking to nerf his late game damage. I think it was this way already, but it kind of was nerfed, or was not consistent a little bit. I guess it's cool. Makes it so he doesn't get hard countered by QSS. So he is... Like, Malzahar has never been a bad champion late game. Like, once he gets 2 items, super good champion. Getting the 2 items against meta mid laners, pretty difficult when you get abused by like, everything from like Cassio to Victor to Ori. And that's the same for a lot of mid laners, stuff like Xerath, stuff like Lux, Ziggs. It's not like they're bad champions, it's that they're not strong enough early to be able to warrant their scaling time. Rakan. Passive shield duration now interacts with shield amplifying effects. Turns out Rakan's passive hasn't been scaling with shield amplifying effects. Oh. Cool. So it was just a bug, and then it's like a slight buff. Cool. Nothing different. Rek'Sai. Base AD up, armor up, W up bro damage, R more reliably hits. This is all I care about right here. You can literally sidestep his ulti. Oh, let me show you. Oh my god. There's a clip that someone literally sent me of someone, not even, it's not like they vein tumbled away. Nothing like that. It's legit just they walked away from Rek'Sai and it dodged his ulti. And I just looked at that and I was like, what the like, no ulti should be able to be counterplayed by a guy moving in one direction. I'll try to find it real quick. If I can't find it, I'll just go back to it. But like it's really bad right now. I don't see it. It was... I don't see it. But anyways, just trust me, you can flash the ulti as well, which is, I think, is such a detriment to Rek'Sai, being able to flash someone's like large damage ability. So what they do with him, increase armor growth, increase base AD, pretty cool. Nice stat buffs. Whoa, the W gets a bonus 0.4 AD, meaning that he scales even better with AD, which I think is just, alright, you're making this champion a bruiser. I get it. Void Rush now does much harder to dodge. Rek'Sai's target should no longer be able to walk out damage range without exceptional amounts of movement. Okay, so essentially you have to have a dash or a flash. So I think they're comfortable with you being able to flash away with it, but not just running away normally. Cool. You're literally just building insane amounts of AD on this character. Interesting. I don't think that makes Rek'Sai very good because he loses, or she loses, the ability to split push, the ability to like have any kind of global presence, and or even be able to have skirmish presence with Flash W, being able to knock out multiple targets. So I'm surprised they nerfed that, by the way. So she's entirely like a snowballing AD champ now. Kind of very, 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 very strange. Rumble. He drains more slowly. Q cooldown higher early. Damage increase now does decrease damage to minions. W shield amount up, duration down. E slow and damage up. We want Rumble opponents to have a clear window to pick fights against the lane phase. Short cooldown allowed Rumble to be constant threat against champions taking no damage from mini damage from trades. Okay, so heat delay starts 4 seconds. Decay rates 1 second, 10 per tick. Wow, so it just decays real quick. Damage to minions 75%. Cooldown 10 at early ranks. Wow. But the damage is okay. So you can tend to counterplay quite a bit with, and it's better late game because it has a better ratio. But it does less damage to minions. Just in general, they don't like Rumble's ability to wave clear. Duration is slightly lower, but more impactful when you use it. And Electro Harpoon is more damage and more slow. Okay. With all this in mind, I really like what they did here. I do think I completely agree with the fact that, like, in terms of Rumble in general, he doesn't have many windows where you can tend to find him in. And this is creating a window right here by increasing the cooldown. Like a window of 4 more seconds level 1. That you're able to harass Rumble, and he's not able to just blind push every single level 1 matchup to be able to cheat the early lane as Rumble. Because Rumble is not a strong champion early, except for the fact that he can blind push like he did. This is going to be a really big nerf to Rumble. And I think that hopefully champions that are better levels 1, 2, and 3, and 4 are able to abuse this opening to be able to make it so that Rumble is not just like a godlike top laner. Of course, Rumble's a little bit better late game in terms of like these situations, but I do like maybe this is overtuned, but the idea of creating a bigger window for you to abuse Rumble is the correct decision by Riot, in my opinion. So yeah, I cannot cast well. Oh, you can no longer basic. You can basic attack while your Q is going. Oh, no wonder you're able to get 3 out at once in E instantly into a 3 dagger, and her W plumage cooldown can increase by 4 seconds. I actually think this champ is actually too good. So I'm glad they ended up nerfing her. I'm hoping they nerf Kate as well. Kate? Okay, well, they didn't nerf Kate, but at some point I hope they nerf Caitlyn, because I think that she's actually still probably too good for what she does. Even though they ended up nerfing her a little bit last patch, I still think she's her traps probably need to be tuned. But no, this champion, I think, is similar to Jhin. When Jhin first came out, people thought that Jhin wasn't very good, and then after putting in about 30 games with the champion, people were like, "Oh, Jin's great," and that happened with this character as well, where it's like with a good Ziya on the team, it's very, very hard to counterplay her, especially with her having self-defensive moves as well as such good teamfight presence. Zach, stupidly OP. Please nerf this character. W and E damage down. So okay, the base damage for W got lowered, and the base damage for E got lowered. Great, really, really good. Still probably gonna be OP. Still probably gonna be banned up again. But step in the right direction for sure. Heimerdinger and pet targeting allow Heimerdinger to target attack without actually attacking, so sidesteps some intended risks. Sending Solana to actually fire an attack and drawing mini aggro as a result. Heimerdinger and Zyra must actually fire a basic auto to command turrets. Oh, okay, so you could exploit it by like targeting them and like not actually firing. Cool. At the moment, Locket are such a dominant pair that most supports feel forced to build these. Effectively denies them access to the rest of the item pool. Correct. Especially in Redemption. Super OP. Lockets for tanks, Redemption's key stuff for enchants. Okay. Locket now gives tanks a burst of techniques to their team. Yeah, it's currently best on monsters. True. So the shield goes down by quite a bit, and it scales out the caster's bonus HP. Ooh. %36% of caster's bonus HP, quite a bit. Yeah, they're just trying to make it you do more, or it to be more effective onto tank supports. I like the idea. Just I want to see the redemption nerf before I say anything. I do think though. Well, let me read Zeke's, because oh my god, what they changed like 5 support items in a row. Okay. Well, what part of the things that scares me about this is I think that this was very, very true, more true a couple patches ago than right now. Sure, Redemption's still overtuned. I completely agree. Locket still probably overtuned, but the idea that this is like the most dominant pair isn't exactly true right now. I think at the moment the Censor is one of the strongest support items in the game. So if you're looking to buff or nerf, specifically nerf champions or items, sorry, Censor becomes like a disgusting item to buy, and people are already first buying this item because it is just so good after they buffed it for no reason before. So while I do agree with this idea, also the fact that there's no sensor changes scares me because that item is actually really strong. All right, let's keep going. Redemption. Health and health regen down, mana regen down, or up. Okay, that's worse because health is typically a more valuable stat than mana regen for most people. Heal decrease, but scales better with heal amplifiers. Wow, they nerfed the health by 100. That's so much. Heal amount is affected 3 times as much by heal and shield power amplifiers. Okay. So you just don't get it. I guess you just don't. Yeah, you just don't get this unless you're a person that gets wind speakers, essentially. Okay. Zeke's. What did they do with this item? It's not used very much because you can get 50% crit a lot, and if you can't, then it's still like not as effective as getting Censor. Like the fact that it competes for Censor and Redemption as an item slot is insane. No one buys this item because it's the competition. So Zeke's now builds off Aegis with Amp Tomes. Passive now creates slowing storms when triggered instead of granting AP and critical strike. Okay, slowing storm. It's tank appropriate. Okay. Okay. No longer grants AP. Grants 60 armor, 30 more than before. Oh yeah, because you build off Locket. Right. Still gives 10% CDR. Still gives some mana. Unique. Cast your ultimate near your ally. Surrounds you with. You create a Frost Storm? I'm literally visualizing like Marvel versus Capcom playing Storm and using like using her ultimate. That's actually what I'm thinking about. It's a weird thing for sure. Enemies inside the storm are slowed by 20%, and your allies' attacks burn target for 50% magic. It does 50% more damage over 2 seconds? It's a melee range threat. I'm assuming it's not that big, so it'd be there to help. It's like an initiating thing, which you actually want to get this on stuff like with really low ulti cooldowns, and on range champs, stuff like Janna, for instance. But since it only affects enemies inside your Frost Storm, you have to be melee to use this. So this will be used on things like Sedge support initiation, stuff like that. Really interesting. Basic attacking a burning enemy ignites your Frost Storm, dealing 40 magic. It slows for 40%. That's actually a lot. What an interesting character. This is a lot of damage. 50% bonus magic damage over 2 seconds. You're increasing your AD's damage by just a ton, but only if you're able to stay within the range. Yeah, it's stuff for very dive oriented supports that get in there. Stuff like Zac, or sorry, that's not a support. Leona, good example. I guess characters like Zac could indeed buy this if they didn't have mana here. Very cool new item. I have to see the range on the ulti to be able to give, or the Frozen or Frost Storm to be able to give a good opinion on how strong it is. But at least the payoffs seem very large. Athene's Grail. Now converts mana regen to what? Mana regen to AP? And they lowered the CDR by 10%. Okay. I actually kind of like that. I think 20% was really, really high. 5 AP for every... Oh, that's not that much. It's nice, but it's not, like, great. Because, like, even look how much... What does Redemption give? This is, like, probably the highest. Gives 15 base mana regen. So, the best you can get... Wait, actually... It's only 20... I thought it was 50. Makes Redemption give 30 AP? Okay, wait. That's not bad. That's kind of interesting. It's a scaling item for enchanters. Yeah, this is definitely like a late game buy. I don't see you picking this up early. This seems like definitely a luxury oriented buy. For sure. It's cool that there's a late game item for shield supports, but this is not going to see much play when most supports are gonna be ending the game at 2 items. If you're a shield support right now, your priority is what? Redemption Sensor every game. And with that in mind, when are you actually going to get Grail? Maybe 3rd item, 3rd, 4th item? How many times do you actually build 3 or 4 items every game? This is a cool item as an option for if it does get to that situation, but whether it sees a lot of play, I'm not convinced. I think it's a good item. I'm glad it's in the game, but just because of how little items supports tend to get over actual games, probably not something you're going to see too much. It does seem like something, though, that maybe as a 3rd item buy, you do end up picking up. And maybe at 3 items, it's just strong enough to be like an amazing buy. Very interesting item. That's all I gotta say. They're adding some very interesting things. Scaling, selling item, and Froststorm. Banner Command. Point Runner makes sense for siege-themed item. No longer grants 400. Wait, really? They took out the mana? That's probably better. Well, there's some champions where mana actually was pretty nice. Builds up to a 20% movement speed over 2 seconds when near turrets. Fallen turrets and the void gates. Oh. I guess. It's okay. It's still like such a niche item, I guess. It's all right. That's all I'll say. It's definitely all right. I guess the mana, not many people would use it as much, and now that the mana is removed, there are situations where this item becomes valuable. In a situation where, let's say, their split pusher is Rumble and they can't effectively fight. Pretty good example. But their team is relatively still 80 threatening. Good time to get banner. Knight's Vow. Tanks like CDR. Kindle Gem, Chain Vest. Oh, it just gives you CDR? Wait, that's OP. This item's already good. Why would they give it CDR? As a tank, I don't care about health regen. Health regen is only like a viable stat on first item or into the 2nd item. Health regen actually just completely useless for me after that point. So it gives you a CDR, and usually Knight's Vow is like a 3rd item buy, 2nd to 3rd item buy. This item's already great. It's a great item to protect to passively protect your carry. I can't believe they just randomly gave it 10% CDR. I don't think it was necessary. I thought this item was already really good. Righteous Glory. Now builds off Glacier Shot instead of Catalyst. Slow Nova now can be triggered manually. Automatically triggers what's near. Righteous Glory is a champion who wants to start a fight now. Reducing health by 100, granting more armor, 10% CDR. Soul Nova now automatically triggers the enemy champions within close proximity. Uh, I guess it's less of a laning item and more of a mid-game initiation item. I don't necessarily have any strong opinion on this. I think that generally it's a worse item for Singed. In anything but just most of the time, just a worse item for Singed. And I don't really know what characters were building this. Like, when they start reading stuff, like, when they start making statements like this mix of explosive and drawn out strength is making Righteous Glory too strong at everything. Like, in comparison to what? When I see Righteous Glory in the game, I don't ever say, wow, Righteous Glory is so broken. What an impressive item. I can't believe I just got Glory on. Wow. Like, what is this in comparison to? I understand that maybe it's too good at too many things. But I don't even necessarily know if that's true. It's essentially only used on Singed and Olaf, right? Maybe it's too good. Who knows? But it's definitely going to be way more situational now, where it has like specifically CDR and armor intact. Actually, wait a sec. Isn't this item better for Olaf now? Wait, this item's actually OP for Olaf because he scales really well with CDR. So this item becomes worse for Singed. Not sure if Singed is going to buy this item in every situation because CDR for him is whatever. Way better for Olaf, which literally is giving up Ninja Tabby to buy CDR boots. Like, that is how good it is. CDR is for Olaf. Funny, I guess. Really funny. Alright. Price point and armor down. So it's a 900 gold item and it gives you 5 less armor. Okay. Generally, there's probably a buff to it because a lot of times you don't really care too much about the armor and more about the CDR. Iceborne, same cost. Frozen Heart, same cost. Okay, whatever. Raptor Cloak, price point, armor down. Whoa, it's 1200 to 900? That's so cheap. Rejuve B cloth armor. Oh, that's... Wow, the combined cost is so expensive on these now, but let's be real. No one buys this item, and this item is pretty... Not bought that much either. What do you buy Raptor Cloak for now? I like that it's cheaper, for sure. I just don't necessarily see... I don't see many Raptor Cloaks in my game, so I don't necessarily know if this is great. You buy it for Talisman, and that's pretty much it. Okay, well, I mean, I think it's nice. It's okay. Any kind of gold decrease, it obviously means it's better early game, and it's less of like a mid-late game item, but it's just a component piece, so... Being better early game is better for you because usually hitting these item thresholds are just things that like are very, very, very important on gold backs. Ancient Coin line, it's not a very good line. Like from everyone for the most part, it's the worst line of everything. So champions no longer pick up mana coins with full mana. Coins on visual indicators when they're about to expire, and the cost of talisman got decreased. Wow. Okay, they're trying to make this a very, very appealing buy. Decreasing by 200 gold. The active itself, very powerful. It's going to get to the point where people are going to buy this item. And I don't necessarily know if I want everyone having, like, Righteous Glory, essentially. But I guess it doesn't matter for Riot. Like, Riot wants that. So it's definitely going to be interesting. This is starting to get to the point where people are going to buy this a lot. Maybe one slight buff away from it to being, like, actually bought all the time. But still a really good buff for it. Really buff the Relic Shield. Probably works from effects like Wind Speaker's Blessing. That's okay. Updated to be more Runic, less distracting. Haven't updated more Targonian. Haven't updated more okay, sure. Doran Shield passive is now unique. Great. I think that the idea of stacking Doran Shield on top laners sucks. Unfortunately, top lane kind of ruined it for everyone else because mid lane, I don't think anyone stacked triple Doran String except for Diana. But because the value of Lost Chapter is so high mid lane, and that stacking in multiple Dorans, more than 2 Dorans into Lost Chapter, it's typically not worth it for you. Both on item space level and just like getting to your correct item spikes. But yeah, this is super obnoxious on top lane tanks. Whatever, I'm glad it's gone. I'm happy that the mana return is now unique. Doran's Shield, this was just too good. Like, actually, when I first saw this, I'm like, why does it cost 400 gold? I still think this item will be bought immediately. It's just that now there's one less pot for them to work with this item, so that you can actually maybe harass them out of lane. You have a bigger shot now. They get less leeway to be able to make like stupid position errors or bad trades, which is really good. I think it's super overtuned right now. Fill potion icon's been okay. Well, that doesn't mean anything. In the game stats, I had crowd control score. The combined duration of all CC effects you apply. I guess that's funny. Rotating game mode. I don't play game modes. Chat and friends. I don't really talk to people. Summer level progression. Total 1 to 30 experience requirements are very slightly lower. Okay. Bunch of bug fixes I usually don't talk about. So, generally what ended up happening here, I like the fact that they're looking to tool the support items to be more specific. I did think that they did a lot of good stuff, especially with, like, let's say Zeke's, Grail, Redemption, Locket, to be able to make it more appealing for certain things. Righteous Glory now looks more appealing for Olaf and maybe some supports as well. I like that they ended up nerfing some characters, like Zac. This guy needed to be nerfed so hard. For the most part, most of Riot's patches have been better over time, and their reworks tend to come on either too strong or too weak, and they stabilize very quickly 1-2 patches later. I'm really happy they nerfed Karma. Surprised they haven't nerfed Lulu as well. There's still characters like Fiora that I'm surprised didn't get touched this patch, as well as Galio. I'm hoping those get touched in the future. At the moment, I like the patch notes, and it could have nerfed / buffed more, mainly nerfed, but I'm okay with how it worked out. Anyways, that's pretty much it. Let's go into another game.